Good morning, everybody. My name is Patience. Welcome to Mom Cut Ranch and Homestead. We're back in the kitchen today. It is a super chilly morning. When we went out to do our feeding of our animals, it was 37 degrees, and it is closer to the end of September. Our first frost here in central New York is September 30th, and we did have a little, very light frost last night. I think it's maybe like the 20th or the 21st, I'm not quite sure. And so we had put out a round bale to our animals the other day, and a little bit of the hay got on the grass. So when we went out to do chores this morning, it was very dewy, and so I was going down to the barn and I look over and I'm like, there is frost on top of some of those little hay piles that we had left. So I'll go ahead, if I can, I'll put a picture here. Yeah, 37 this morning. It's super chilly. My husband did break down yesterday and start the wood stove just to take the cool off in the morning, but by the afternoon it was shut down. But today he is off to work and we are here in the kitchen this morning, and instead of cranking up the wood stove, I figured why not crank up the oven and get a little warmer in here. So today we are going to be making apple fritter bread. I've made this a couple times last year for the first time and my husband loved it. So I figured let's go ahead and make some today. We are going to be making it with apples that I had actually harvested last year from a local apple orchard. And I had, oh goodness, probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 apples had left over. So I had cut them up into slices. I had taken the skins off of them. I put them in a bowl with a little bit of lemon juice. And what lemon juice does is it helps the apple from browning. And so I had done that, and then I stuck them in these Ziploc bags, and it's been probably close to a year since I have done that. So we're going to go ahead and be using 1-year-old apples to see how it worked preserving in the freezer this way. So, I mean, as of the color, it still looks like an apple to me. So let's go ahead, and I do have something for you guys. You're going to be proud. Ta-da! I have all of my ingredients out on the counter this time instead of bouncing around trying to get everything while I'm cooking. So I'm going to try this. I got everything out. We're going to see how it goes. I also have my recipe for my apple fritter bread that I will type up and put below for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first is we're going to do a little mixture of brown sugar and cinnamon. The recipe says light brown sugar, and I do have that, but I'm sure that you can probably use just regular brown sugar. I've never done it either way, but I'm sure it's fine. All right, so first things first, we need 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay, 1/3 cup. I just have it in a small bowl because we're going to put this together and then set aside. And then we need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And you guys know how much I don't really care for cinnamon, but with this recipe, you really can't taste it too much. It's kind of like when you do zucchini bread. So 1 teaspoon. We're going to mix this together. Make sure we get all the little brown chunks out. See that? Doesn't have to be perfect, but mix it in pretty well. All right, there we go. We're going to go ahead and we're going to set this aside. Okay, you can use a stand mixer. When I made these recipes this recipe a couple times last year, I didn't have my stand mixer, so I know that doing it in a bowl worked out well for me. So I'm not going to change that. I'm sure the stand mixer will be perfectly fine, but just for this, I am just going to use a regular bowl. You can do either. So first, we are going to add in flour, and this calls for 1.5 cups of flour. I wish I had something, like I really do like these measuring cups, and I like these. They're actually both from the same, they're both the same brand. They're Pioneer Woman, and I really do like them, but like you have to scoop it in. Like I would like something I can just scoop the whole thing in and not have to do all this, but that's okay. All right, so here's my 1 cup. Here's my half. All right, half. And then we need 1 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Baking powder, not baking soda, because that gets me every time. I like triple made sure that it is really baking powder. All right, so 1 3/4 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. Okay. There's that. All right, and then we're gonna mix this. And we are also gonna set this aside. I'm actually gonna get a smaller bowl for this. I forgot we had a couple of things that we had to set aside. Okay, go ahead and set that aside. All right, so we're gonna set that aside. Now we're gonna mix sugar, which that calls for 2/3 cup of sugar. Okay, so we have our sugar in here. Go ahead and move this. And I forgot to mention, we're gonna go ahead and put our stove on 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's get that prepped. Okay, so we have the sugar, and then we need butter. So this is 1/2 cup, so a stick of butter, and it says soften. It's a little bit tough because I did just take it out of the refrigerator, so I'm gonna pop it in the oven, pop it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. All right, that's perfect. So we are gonna pop this in here. Good. All right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and mix this up first. Actually, I'm just gonna use my fork for right now. I don't know if you can see that. So give it a mix. Right, we got our butter and sugar here, and this is where we're going to add 2 eggs, 1 egg at a time. Mix it. I love these brown eggs that we're getting from the chickens. The yolk is so rich. Bright yellow, I love it. Okay, and this is kind of the mixture that you're gonna get. And then we're gonna add in vanilla. This says vanilla is 1.5, oh, I just lost it, 1.5 teaspoons. Have you guys ever made your own vanilla? I want to try it this year. I probably should have started it a while back because I think it would be nice Christmas gifts. But I do know that you can, it does take a long time to set, from my understanding, like what, 6 months or something like that? But you can do it by getting vanilla beans and your choice of vodka. I've seen people use it with like rum too, but just, that's it. Vanilla beans and vodka, and you put it into a container, let it sit there for about 6 months or so, I believe is what it is, 6 months. And you're ready to go. It's very simple. I'd love to try it, but just haven't gotten there. Okay, so good, we have this. Now we're gonna be adding the flour mix in here. I'm gonna add a little bit, stir, a little bit, stir. At this point, I could definitely switch to my whisk. That'd be a little easier, huh? It almost becomes like a batter form, really. Reminds me of vanilla cake. See what's next on our docket. Oh yes, we needed milk. I didn't put that out because I wanted it to stay cold, but we will be adding milk. And milk is going to be 1/2 cup of milk. And you guys will see how thick that gets. All right, let's add our 1/2 cup of milk. Our milk cow is dried up right now because we have her in with the bowl, hoping to get her bred again for the spring. Okay, we're gonna mix this in. Oh, look at that. Nice and creamy. Isn't that nice? That looks awesome. Okay. This is the fun part. We get to assemble. And this is kind of going to be what we call a lasagna layer. First, what I am going to do, I'm going to get those apples back out here. And I'm going to get a cutting board, and we're going to be cutting them into small cubes. For, I believe, is 2 apples. Where is my apple? 2 large apples. Yep. Just into little chunks. You can have a little bit bigger chunks if you prefer. Smaller chunks. It's kind of, as far as how big you do the apples, it's kind of preference. You can probably even leave them split if you just wanted to. It's all on how it's going to taste and how big of the chunks you want when you bite into it. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this like this for right now. See how it looks. That's probably actually about 2 apples. All right. So now we're going to be doing the layering effect. I'm going to spray this. Some nonstick spray. Okay. First we are going to put about half of the batter into this. I'll bring you guys down a little closer. How's that? All right, we are going to do about half of the batter. It's about half here. You're going to do apples. kind of even it out. So each slice that you do and take, you'll have nice apple in there. Okay, and then we're gonna take our, remember our cinnamon and brown sugar mix? We're gonna go ahead and sprinkle that right on. About half. Okay, that looks good. And then we're gonna repeat the process with the rest of the batter. I may have to get a spatula actually. Okay. Kind of even it out here. Okay. Good. Then we're going to add the rest of the apples. I may cut up a little bit more actually. All right, I think that'll be good. And then we're going to put the rest of our mixture on there. Doesn't this look great, guys? There. That looks amazing. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and pop this into the oven. Again, 350 degrees Fahrenheit is what I have mine on. This is gonna cook for about an hour. And what you're gonna wanna do is when the hour comes, you're gonna wanna just take a toothpick, pop it in, make sure it comes out clean. If it needs to go in for a little bit, depending if you have an electric or a propane, mine's propane, so all ovens are different. So let's go ahead and pop it in. And I have set my timer for an hour, so we'll come back when that is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my mess, and then I have a couple other things that I would like to get done this morning. While I have the oven on, I'm gonna actually get my lunch going. We have a couple acorn squash that we have from the garden that I'm gonna cook up. I'm gonna have half for lunch, the other half for dinner. So we'll go ahead and get that cooked now. Do you guys ever, it is so hard to cut these things. All right, let's see how we can do. Oh, actually this is pretty good. I think it's because it's been on the counter for a little bit, but. Wow, that worked out pretty easy. I still have one other acorn on the counter, and then I have about 2 more left in the garden. Wasn't the best acorn harvest this year, that's for sure, but I did plant, I think 4 or 6 acorn squash. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. But anyways, and then we had a pretty cool spring where some of my plants actually died because of the weather. The frost hung around a little bit longer than our estimated frost. So it killed off a couple of my plants, so definitely taking what I can get, but we love acorn squash. It is delicious. You can even save these seeds if you want and plant next year your own seeds. All right, so what we usually do is I'll usually put some butter on there, and then closer to the end, I'll go ahead and sprinkle some brown sugar in there as well. It's so good this way, you guys. It's delicious. And then I also have our last of our zucchini is over there as well. So I'd like to get that shredded up in Ziploc bags and get those in the freezer too. That way throughout the winter, we can have some zucchini bread, my favorite. Just gonna go ahead and go around, use some butter in the center. Okay, we're gonna pop this in the oven. shredder. Maybe for Christmas I'll ask my hubby to maybe give me another food processor. All right, I'm gonna actually cut this in half. And I'm gonna grab a bowl to put all this in. We've been trying to eat down as much of our meat in our freezer as we can with those 2 steers and the pig going to the butcher next month. I think it's actually exactly a month from today. Or maybe it's the 23rd. I'm not quite sure when it is, but next month they're going. So we've been trying to eat down all the meat that we have left over from our last pig and cow. Pretty almost well through. Usually we do reach out to people to see if anybody wants to go in halves or wants a whole cow. So we have been back and forth on that. We did reach out to a couple people that are ones that we've already sold to. And they're still all set. So we're kind of back and forth on, do we want to reach out to anybody else to kind of put it out there? Or do we want to keep it all, and then, you know, if one of our family or friends say, hey, you got a couple pounds of burger, you know, sell a couple pounds here and there. And we can do that because it is a USDA. And in New York, in order to resell any type of meat, it has to go through USDA butcher shop. If you want to, when you're shredding your zucchini to freeze, you can also de-seed them if you want. I've never done that, but some people do, depending on how large your zucchini is. Sometimes when your zucchini gets too big, it gets too seedy. So you can always just take out the seeds and shred it that way. It is also this weekend mine and Gordon's 6-year wedding anniversary. So we're going to be taking a little day trip up north, about a couple hours away, I believe it is, maybe a little more, up to a town called Louville. It's actually where we take our steers and pigs and our animals to get butchered, is up in Louville. It's called Miller's Meat Butcher, I believe, is what it's called. I do know it's called Miller's, but that's up in Louville area. So we're not taking animals, but we are going up there. We actually went up there for our honeymoon. And what we did for our honeymoon is we rented a cabin up there. And it's a horse cabin. It's called Otter Creek. And we rented a cabin, brought our horses. We were up there for about a week, rode our horses. This is before we owned a home and our time was totally more flexible back then. And we didn't have, you know, the dogs and all these animals to have to take care of now. So, yep, so we went up there for our honeymoon for about a week, had a cabin with our horses, rode pretty much every day, and then we found a winery up there. It's called the Tug Hill Winery. Surprisingly, we spent a lot of time there. It is absolutely beautiful. I can go ahead and post it on our Instagram and Facebook page when we, you know, get back from this weekend. I'll put some pictures up on there of how our day went. But yeah, it's a beautiful winery. It's up on top of a hill with these huge windmills, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I am pretty excited to go up there again, and I'm sure that the leaves have probably already changed up there as well, so I'm sure it'll be even more beautiful. But there's an area that you can sit outside, and it overlooks the valley, so it's super beautiful. So I'm really excited to go back up there and hit up that winery again. The good thing is that winery also does have wines that are sold in our liquor and wine stores around here. So we have one specific wine that we both really enjoyed. It was called Fireside. It was absolutely delicious. So I'm very excited to go up there, have a glass of wine, see what kind of things they have. I also do believe that they do a brunch on Sundays, but we're not going to be up there for that. But they also have food and stuff like that as well. And then after we do the wineries, we're going to be going to another place that we went when we were up there on our honeymoon. We actually went a couple times as well. It was a restaurant in town called Jeb's, J-E-B-S. They had fabulous food there. Like I said, we did go a couple times. I probably even think maybe 3 or 4 times. And each time my husband got the same thing because the food was so good and he enjoyed it. It was a steak. I think he did steak fajitas, and he raved about them. They were very good. So we're gonna go there for lunch, and then they also have a really cool cheese place up there. I think it's called, I forgot what the name of it is, but I can put it down below here. They have tons and tons and tons of different flavored cheeses. Any flavor that you can really think of: horseradish cheese, dill pickle cheese, buffalo flavored cheese, any kind of cheese. They had a lot, and you can taste them. We haven't been back since the pandemic, so I'm not quite sure if they still have the option to still taste them. I hope they do. So we're gonna go there. They actually have, I think it's a 10-pound maybe. I may be over exaggerating, maybe 5, but it's this big brick of cream cheese. We do like to get that because then we'll come back here, slice it up into little sections, freeze some of it, and it's like $12 or something. It is so cheap. So I'm hoping they have that there. So yeah, we are pretty excited. It'll be a fun day trip for us. Kind of get away for the day, but looking forward to it. I really hope I get that food processor for Christmas this year. I could just go and get one, but I hate spending money, let's be honest. I hate it. If there's an alternative like this, yes, it takes a lot more time, but if my husband buy it, I'm fine with that. The apple fritter bread is already smelling delicious. All right, there we have it. There is quite a bit of water down here at the bottom. What I'm going to try to do is squeeze out as much as I can. And you'll notice too that once you freeze your shredded zucchini and then you take it back out of the freezer once you're ready to use it, a lot of that water is in there. So I do try to really squeeze out as much of the water as I can while I'm packing it. That way there's not as much water when we are thawing it. And I'm gonna double check, but I think most of my recipes maybe have 1 or 2 cups of zucchini. One thing that I did notice as well is I would pack that amount for each zucchini bread that I make into the Ziploc bags, but then once it thawed, it was a lot less because of all that water content. So I do want to add 1 extra cup in there. I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough. So let me go ahead and recheck my recipe. Zucchini bread, 1.5 cups of zucchini. So let's do 2.5 cups. cup. Here's a half. Wow, if I can open this. There it is. I think what I'll do is squeeze out and then put it in. You see all that coming out? All right, so what I do is I kind of just close it pretty much a good amount of the way, and then I'm going to just flatten it out like this. Easy storage, quicker thaw time. There we have it. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells so good. There was a little bit of, let me see if I can show you without burning my hands, burnt end here and over in this corner here. I think what it is because those apples were frozen, that when they started to thaw while being in the oven, it took the bread a little bit longer to bake. Probably because of that extra water that was in there. So I think the tips just got a little bit more brown than I would have liked, but it smells so good. All right, guys, let me know if you guys end up trying this and what you guys thought. Let's go ahead. I'll have to take out the acorn swab. Those also look super good. I'm gonna put them in for at least 5 more minutes, I think. You guys, I forgot to add in one important thing before we wrap up this video, is the glaze for the top of this. The best part I forgot. So what you'll want to do is when your bread cools is you're gonna take a mixture of powdered sugar and milk. You're just whisk it together so it is not super runny but not thick either. And you're just gonna drizzle it on the top of your bread as well. So that's just the topping for it, a little bit extra of that sweetness put in there as well. Sorry guys, I completely forgot about that part. All right guys, thanks again for hanging out with me this morning. Let me know if you try that apple fritter bread and let me know what you think. It smells absolutely delicious and the house is a little warmer too. Have a great rest of the day guys and stay warm. Bye.